with your hosts, Tricky Nick, Alex, I You to No One, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Welcome everyone to Trophy Horrors, episode number 666. I mean 667.
I knew you were gonna fucking do that. I swear to God, I was gonna call it out.
Here,
Satan's Redux.
Why do you have to do that?
2.0.
Because we missed you last week and felt that episode 666 wouldn't have been as good unless you were there.
I was there.
Well, you pressed play on the stream and then walked away.
No, I had to do a whole bunch of fixes, and then I realized I realized last week, while you edited the show and uploaded the show, Alex did the post but didn't set it to post, so I had to go in and post that. So I had to deal with that. Even though I said I didn't want to do that, Alex just set it to post. He didn't do that. So then after I got involved in all that, I was like, well, screw it. I've already gone this far because now I have to upload it to YouTube. I have to set the YouTube going. I might as well do the freaking social medias. So I was all involved in that, so I just wasn't on the episode.
So and you're still here, and you're fine. See?
I want to put this out there, listeners.
Here we go.
I never schedule the post because I do the post, but I always want Tricky to go in and look afterwards to make sure that I didn't mess anything up, but there's not like a typo or something. It's good to have a second set of eyes on everything. So I never schedule the post because if I do, it posts at 8 a.m. And if there is an issue, no one catches it. So I like to have Tricky look over it before it posts. I didn't just intentionally not schedule this one. I never do it.
Well, folks, unlike last week, we've got a full house tonight. We've got Alex, we've got Tricky, and we got Yield. And as you can see, it's a better episode than 666 ever could have been because the entire gang's here.
You're just going to keep doing that, aren't you?
Yes, because I feel like there's a silliness here that needs to be pointed out.
Yeah, well, let's give a shout out also to Jeremy, who was chatting with us pre-game, before we got on here live, who's going to make a devilishly good dinner, I'm sure, for the family. But yeah, Jeremy also on last week's show, also still kicking, still alive and kicking.
So with that said, it's been a good week. I want to say it's been a week since episode 666, and now we're here at episode 667. Going to be talking about some games, some news, and what I think is an interesting topic of the week in everything that's coming down the pipeline.
Can I, before we get to the show proper, can I say something?
Well, we're in the show proper, but that shouldn't stop you from saying something.
All right. Just for the record, what I'm about to say is coming from me. My co-hosts actually do not know that I'm about to say this. I know that everybody likes to have fun with me, and they like to fuck with me and whatnot, and that's perfectly fine. Sometimes I feel like some people go across too far, but you know what? That's the part of being in the public and being in public, having an online persona. I received some really, really shitty messages over the last week from people, fans of the show, people that listen to the show, and I'm just going to say this straight out and blunt, and I've kind of like addressed this with Matt so far, but I haven't fully done it so far. If your sole intention is to come here and you don't show any kind of positivity, and you're just straight up negative, or you're attacking people, or you're trying to just overall be negative, it's going to come to a point where I'm just going to ban you from the group, and I'm not even going to look back. And this is not calling out anybody individually, but I received a couple of messages this week who brought my daughter into it. And to me, that is a no-go. Those people have been banned and blocked, and they will not they will not have their name mentioned on the show again. And I'm just putting it straight out there. If you are coming here and the only thing you are showing is negativity, or you're trying to cause up controversy, it's going to get to the point where I'm just going to ban you from the group, and we're not even going to mention you anymore. And I don't care who you are.
No, that's absolutely fair, Tricky. And I know you and I had a very brief conversation about one specific thing. But, anybody listening, we're here to have fun. Yeah, we bag on Tricky. He bags on us. And that's what friends do. You don't come
cross
to
the
us
line
attacking. Bring in somebody's family, somebody's kid into this. I'm going to be with Tricky on this all day, every day. So, sorry, fuck off.
I just want to remind people, the four of us, we don't make any money off this show. What little money we make...
Well, three of us don't.
No.
You get all those handouts from IG.
No. All the money that we earn off of Twitch or, a merchandise sale or whatever the case may be, all that money gets funded back into costs for running the site and running the podcast and stuff like that.
Merchandise?
Yeah, we have merch. You should know this.
I do.
I still have that hoodie, that comp hoodie that I got all those years ago.
Okay. But the point is that, we don't make any money off of this. And the four of us all sit down here every week and we volunteer our time to you guys. These guys don't take a paycheck. They don't earn money for doing this. And, the amount of work that we do behind the scenes to put on a good show for you guys and to produce it every week, it's not worth doing it if we're just going to get negativity and people calling us out and people sending attacks. It's not worth it to me. I will shut this down in a freaking heartbeat if that's all we're going to do. Now, we have a great community. There are a lot of positive people out there, and a lot of people do some very nice things, but there are some people that just want to see the world burn, and I'm not going to put it up with it anymore. Just because the number itself freaks me out does not mean you get to say whatever the hell you want to say to me and attack my daughter. It's not going to happen.
I know last week I jokingly said, hey, send Tricky messages, congratulate us. I was completely joking. Like, you can have lighthearted fun with it.
Some people took it way too seriously.
Okay, well, I didn't. I was not telling people to.
And I didn't even know you said that.
No, I said, hey, it's a big milestone for us because most people don't, get this far in a podcast. Give congratulations to Tricky. Just like, joking. Like,
I also think that there's a level there that if they don't understand the difference between good, lighthearted ribbing versus personal attacks on somebody and their family, I'm sorry, that's somebody I don't want in our fandom anyways.
Yeah, and like in the past, like I've sent Tricky pictures of spiders jokingly, but I haven't done that in a long time because he asked us to stop, and so I don't do that anymore. So, yeah, there's
just a line you don't cross. That's all I'm saying.
I don't always understand. Everyone's got fears and phobias that maybe people don't understand, but I still have not, even drawn a picture of a spider on a piece of paper and sent it to Tricky. Like Tricky's afraid of spiders, even pictures of them. So I'm like, you know what? Just leave it be.
Yield, before we go further, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Don't take your jokes too far.
Okay.
Because I joked with you. I sent you a picture of the devil when Alex was like, "Hey, everybody, congratulate Tricky." So I said, "Hey, congratulate it."
See,
so,
that's the thing. The devil picture doesn't freak me out.
Well, also, it was like a very comical devil too. I think.
Yeah, but
Right.
that was me ribbing you.
Right. See, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to stress to you. It wasn't like the devil or anything was freaking me out. Just something about that number repeated 3 times in a row freaks me to freak out.
Freaks you out.
Because even like on last week, because I was behind the scenes, when Jeremy showed you guys the receipt that said 1,666.
Yeah.
That didn't bother me because there was a 1 attached to it.
Well, actually, it was 16. What was it?
1666.
Yeah, 1,666.
Oh, I thought you said 667. So no, he actually had the number in there. It
was 1,600.
There was an extra decimal point in there.
It was 1,666.
Yeah, there was an extra decimal point, but yeah.
That doesn't freak me out. I can't explain it, whatnot. But I mean, I'm going off on a tangent. The point is, be positive, or get the fuck out.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and suggest that everyone always has to be positive, but know the limits.
Well, okay, that's basically what I'm trying to say. Don't cross the line into being a shithead. Is that fair to say?
No, absolutely. And an effort to have fun. Let's continue on with the show and welcome somebody who is definitely not a shithead. Jurassic Parky is in the chat saying New Jersey Devils are funny. I thought so too when I figured that we have professional skaters and hockey players and they couldn't pass a puck for shit at the game I went to. So,
that's always a bummer.
I literally looked at my friend.
But did you heckle them?
I was like, these are professional hockey players, right? They're supposed to be standing and skating, not falling down and missing passes, right? And he looked at me and said, "Yeah, I thought we came to a professional game."
We had the Winnipeg lost 4-0, or Winnipeg beat the Devils 4-0 the other day, and I'm not ragging on you. What I'm saying is, not too long ago, the Winnipeg trashed the Rangers as well, and I got so much shit for it from a certain Devils fan that I'm not going to mention. And then,
We know who.
Yeah, and then once I saw the Winnipeg Jets beat the Devils 4-0, I sent him a message that says, "Yo, what happened with the game last night?" No response. So I called him.
That's the thing. If you're gonna shit talk, like when your team stumbles in a similar scenario,
you gotta take it.
Then because we had so I'm a Kentucky Wildcats fan and we lost to the Tennessee Volunteers this past weekend in the Sweet 16, and then today Tennessee got beat by Houston. I mean, they got whooped by Houston. And people like Tennessee Volunteers fans were coming into UK chats on Friday making fun of us. And then I just responded to them today like, well, talk about whooping that ass. Houston certainly did today. And I will remind everyone that Tennessee Volunteers have never been to a Final Four, whereas Kentucky have been to many of them. So, again, it's just an example of if you're going to come talk shit, you better take it that's why I don't like talking shit until there's like a final score, like a finality to it. Because
that's the same thing with me. It's like you don't talk shit until it's over.
Yeah, well, I know we don't talk basketball a lot, but like I had thought Arkansas was going to beat Texas Tech in the NCAA tournament, and then I turned the game off, and then I woke up the next morning and Texas Tech beat Arkansas. You just never know what's going to happen. So just be careful with what you blast out there on the internet because it certainly can come back to you. People do not forget.
Karma is a bitch.
Listen, I will talk shit all day, every day, but fully aware and knowing that it's coming right back to me when I know the Devils will fuck up. Not if they fuck up, when they fuck up.
When they
it's
fuck up.
inevitable.
Well, no, because no matter who your team is, like eventually your team is going to fuck up or stumble, and someone else, Joe, is going to be lying in wait. It's the first thing he's going to do that day is he's going to throw some shade at Tricky and the Rangers. You just know it.
Which is why when Tricky says something, the Devils fuck up, I go, yeah, they do that.
And then when I called Joe later, and I was like, "Hey Joe, what happened with the game last night? And why didn't you respond to my message?" He goes, "I'm not responding to that shit." I'm like, "Oh, so you can talk shit in public, but when I throw it back at you, you can't take it?" He's like, "No."
Anyways, more positivity. Let's talk about those trophy numbers going up positively, because I don't think they can go down necessarily.
Well, unless you reset your system.
Well, then it's not necessarily those trophies. It's another set of trophies. Tricky, do you have your counts?
I'm assuming that it was updated. I am level 966. You can just flip that 9 over, and it would be my worst nightmare. Total trophies of 34,326 with 994 platinums. I have figured out what's going to be my 1,000th platinum. But we'll get into.
Do you care to show? Or share? Show.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about that when we get to what we're playing.
Okay.
Okay. Alex?
You'll have to excuse me. I'm on PSN profiles looking at my trophies because I don't have the agenda. You all may have sent it, but it looks like there was an upgrade or an update to my mailbox, so I only have one email, and it's an old email. So level 519, total trophy count of 10,550 with a platinum count of 190 and 189 games. Man, that Subnautica banner on PSN profiles is a little cool. I do like that.
You ready?
You don't see it on the Skype chat?
Is it on? I don't know if it's the same one. It's not the same one. Or maybe it's just like there's a wider version, like a wider view on PSN profiles, whereas I think that's more zoomed in.
You're zoomed in.
I'm zoomed in doing podcasting.
So what was that?
He got you, chicken fucker. It's one of my favorite quotes ever from Super Troopers.
License and registration, chicken fucker.
Right now, meow.
Oh my goodness. Yield your trophies.
Car Ramrod.
Level 527, trophy count of 11,055, and a platinum count of 209.
I am level 221 with 1,333 trophies and 0 platinum. So if y'all noticed,
you earned one.
Nothing changed from last week.
Yeah.
So I did earn a achievement today playing Monster Hunter Wilds. Hunt 50 tempered monsters. So there you go. I'm making the achievements somewhere.
Are you meaning to tell me how many achievements have you earned in that game? Because after all the hours you put into that game, you've got to have more than one.
Well, that was the one I earned today. I also earned Capture Pro, Capture 50 monsters. I am at 36 of 50 achievements in that game.
Oh, Matt. That's awful close there.
Are you going to get 100%?
If it happens, it happens.
I have a feeling. I have a good feeling. I got a feeling.
Let's see. How many hours do I have in that game?
72.
I'm going to go 100.
I'm going to go 300.
Alex is closest without going over it. 93 hours.
All right.
Oh, darn it. I should have gone with 90.
So, no, you could have gone with 73 and it would have beaten Alex.
Well, I could have, but I was really thinking 90. But I'm like, nah, I'm sure he's got over 100.
Speaking of over, go ahead, Alex.
I was gonna say it's been out about a month, so I mean, 300 though is just ridiculous. Matt does have to function on.
If I had been able to take the week off, the week that it came out, I probably would be up well above 150. All right. Speaking of numbers going up, Sid 893, 27,261 trophies, and 849 platinums. And in the continuing talking about trophies, Ricky, do we have a trophy rarity contest update?
We do not, because Gareth he sent me a message, and I think in just a rebuttal to him calling me a pussy last week off camera or off chat. He says, I don't have an update today because Mother's Day is going on, and he's been out with the wife's family all day, so he didn't get a chance to do it. So Happy Mother's Day to all the UK people, but Gaz, you are fired.
Until next week when you're needed back. So
I do actually have a tip, and if you're in the competition, you may know this, but if there's ever a PS4 and PS5 version of a game
Play the
that you
4
have a
version.
chance to play,
Play the 4 version.
I don't know that's always the case, but actually I don't think that's the case because I think Axiom Verge 2, like the PS5 version, has a more rare platinum trophy. I could be wrong about that, but I know one's more rare than the other. But look at the rarity on PSN profiles, because if you're going to play the same game and you can get more points by playing one version compared to the other, do that. That's why I'm playing Subnautica on the PS4 instead of the PS5. Or I should say the PS4 version rather than the PS5 version.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. I don't think I don't think he even updated the spreadsheet, so I could be wrong. I don't know.
Let's all just cross our fingers and hope we stayed in the same place, or I would say went up, but I really think Yield is the only one who has a chance to go up.
Well, I mean, I just know that I'm still kicking your ass. That's all that matters.
I mean, that's fine. I'm earning like a trophy or two a week at this point,
so am I.
I really hope.
I earned I actually earned more than what I thought this week. I think I went up like 6. Hold on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I went up 5 this week. Maybe 6.
So I'll do a tiny update. Yield, you are at a total of 640 points in 5th place, according to the spreadsheet. I have 218 in 13th place, and Alex, you have 198 in 14th place.
Well, that means I gained a spot because I fell to 6 last week. So.
Oh, you know what? You are in 6th.
Okay.
Sorry, the he has a number next to your name, and it's a red 5.
So that was the last time he updated. I was in 5th.
Yeah. So you're in 6th, and then me and Alex stayed in the same spots, and I'm 10 points ahead of Alex right now. But the game I'm playing now has a lot of ultra rares, including the platinum. So I'm hoping to.
Do you mind sharing what game that is?
The best game that everybody shit on for the last 2 years. Assassin's Creed
Shadows.
Shadows.
Suicide Squad?
Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Oh, really? Well, come on, Tricky. Those ultra rares are going to go down.
Well, right now the platinum is a 4.44%. But
is that on PSN profiles or PlayStation Network?
Well, on PlayStation Network it's a 0.01% ultra rare. So.
Yeah, but I would not expect. I mean, you may get some points early on, but I would expect.
Oh, they're definitely going to degrade.
As the year goes on, yeah, that's going to degrade.
Yeah, it's definitely going to degrade.
Especially when it goes on sale in a month for half off.
Just catching up with the chat.
That just threw me for a loop.
People were talking so much shit when the Patriots were down 28-3, and we all know how that turned out. Yeah, same way that the Patriots felt when the Giants were having trouble in the Super Bowl, and look what happened there. And then Polar Knights is in chat saying, as a barber, I love the show. I have every stage of beard growth. We try to impress. Thank you, Polar Knights. Speaking of games, since that's what this show is about, Alex, why don't you start us off with what we've been playing this week?
Well, I played a little bit of Helldivers this past week. I think it was on Wednesday. And Yield found what he thinks might be his first 100 credit bundle.
I did, yes.
At least as much as he's been paying attention.
At least I've been paying attention, yes.
So, yeah, again, nice playing with Nitro, trying to get Nitro some more requisition slips, some more credit. Because there's probably 11 or so war bonds out there that he's got to
catch up on.
I feel like it was, we all played from the beginning or closer to the beginning where we catch up. We've been steady and able to catch up or stay, on an even pace as they've released the war bonds. But Nitro's basically got every war bond in front of him. So he's got to pick and choose what he spends everything on. So, man, imagine having to get all the super credits to open up all the war bonds. The first one's free that came with the game, but that's a tall task. But
did you guys see that they announced a new stratagem? I saw it today, so I don't know if it dropped today or yesterday, but there's a new stratagem that you can get.
Usually the only way I find about a new stratagem is when I go down the list on the computer in game because I'll every now and again I'll be like, oh, I'll check and see if there's a new stratagem I can buy because usually I'm maxed out on requisition slips, so that's generally how I find out.
Yeah, so I saw it today. So just FYI.
So also, Polar Knight's throwing shade at Patriots, saying you see Tom Brady's new football brand. It's called Inflate Ball for better grip. I forgot that was the thing.
Oh yeah, Deflategate. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Alex. Continue on. What else have you been playing?
So I have also been playing more Subnautica. I finally built my Cyclops, which, if you haven't played that game, I guess that means nothing to you. But it's a big old mother effing ship. It's not like battleship size, but it's big enough to carry your other vehicles in, your prawn suit and your sea moth. So it's decent size. And I was trying to build it, and I was in such shallow water. I thought like at least 30 meters was going to be, enough to build this thing. And it's like, nope, you got to go to deeper water. So just built the Cyclops. And really what I'm doing now, I got my sea moth and was able to explore further out because I had a vehicle. And then I built my base with my moon pool. So I was, able to store my vehicles and do like upgrades there and just have like a lot of space to store all my resources and stuff. And now I'm building the bigger vehicles, which is really what's going to take me through to end game. So the Platinum Trophy is about a 40-hour one, from what I've read. I'm just under 20 hours, so we're getting there, slowly but surely. But no, I mean, as time has gone on, I do enjoy the game. Pace isn't still what I would like it to be, but obviously, like, I do like now having a base where I can go, where I can keep all my stuff, and you can decorate it, make it more of a home kind of place. You can like put a bed in there, you can collect all these things, and like make it a little more homey. But still, I think that I'm kind of trying to shoot towards the platinum, so I'm not going to get too crazy with it. But later on, maybe if I need to just mess around in the game, or I don't know what I'm going to play and I want to go back and like screw it, I'm just going to add on to my base and just kind of decorate a little bit. I'll do that. But I mean, overall, Subnautica is a good game. I just wish that from the start you had a little bit more information and the pace was a little faster. Because it's one of those games where like I'll go in and I'll play for like an hour and a half, and that kind of taps me out. I just can't without like a strong goal. Like last night, I was building the Cyclops, so I had a goal that I was working towards. So I maybe play for 2 hours, but without a goal in mind of where I'm going, a destination in mind, I kind of like tap out on that game after like an hour and a half. So, but I mean, overall, Subnautica is a good game. If you haven't played it, maybe check it out. But just kind of maybe recognize that you're a little more on your own. It's less handholdy and a lot of it's resource management, and you got to build a lot of stuff, and it's kind of a before you can really fly, you definitely got to learn to flap your wings because there's kind of a lot of steps to get to where you need to be, where you can really go down like say 1,500 meters and whatnot to where all the deepest, darkest stuff is. So
I tell you, for how old that game is, it still holds up really well visually, especially with a majority of it being water-based.
Yeah. Honestly, still looks really good. In all honesty, like if Below Zero was a smaller game, like maybe half the size, I might be willing to play it. But if it's another like game like the same length as the original, I don't know. I kind of just it takes a lot more effort than you think, and you can definitely get a lot out of the game. Like I said, with the construction aspect to it, but there's only so many times you can like hunt for resources and go swimming and diving before it just kind of feels like you've done the same thing for like 80 years in a row,
You need to love base building games because a lot of the game is built around that, pun not intended. It's again why I tend to drop off of those kind of games, because after a while it's like, all right, what ultimately am I trying to do? And a good base building game will have milestones that you're trying to reach paced out throughout your building experience.
Yeah, I complain about some games being too handholdy, but I think this is a case where they could be a little more handholdy. And for me, not speaking for everybody, but for me, it'd be a better experience, because I just like to have the milestones in games because I like to be able to gauge how long it's going to take me to get from here to there and really to finish the game. So.
What else have you been playing?
Really, that's all I've been playing. Been listening to way too many podcasts about basketball this week with the NCAA tournament going on. But yeah, that's as far as games go. That's really all I've been playing.
Okay. Yield, how about you?
I haven't been playing as much as I would. many games as I would like. Let me put it that way. So I play, as Alex was saying, play some Helldivers with Nitro, and then I've been dabbling in a little bit of Pac-Man World Repack. Still trying to get to level 9, let alone clear level 9. So still dabbling with that. Played some SnowRunner, working on my Alaska map now. Nitro and I played, I think it was Friday night. Him and I played some co-op in it, and we started the Russia map. So that's where we're at in that. And I've spent a lot of time back in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I've been going back through, finally, after 2 years, and trying to do the, what's it called? Let me get it exact. I think it's the Deadly Obsession. Yeah, the Deadly Obsession difficulty. And so that can be really annoying at times because when you die, the save points are very few and far between. You know, you will occasionally get a save point during the story mission, during a story cutscene, but those are few and far between. Most of the time, the only place you can save is at your campfire. And so, it's hard, or it can be annoying when, you're playing for 20 minutes and you're making some headway, and then you make a stupid mistake and die, and then you got to go all the way back. Now you got to do all of that again. But I've made some good progress. I've needed like 3 combat trophies, and I've gotten 2 of them. So I'm down to just beat the game on the hardest difficulty, and that'll pop 2 trophies. And then I got 1 more combat trophy, and then the platinum. So slowly but surely, I'm making my way through that. And that's really been about it. I just played those 4 games. Yeah, that's really all I've played this week.
Polar Knights in chat talking about liking the new Atomfall. MZ is in chat. You said his name, so it must have summoned him, and then he said something that a host of the show did not like, so therefore he has been silenced for a little bit.
Is that why you smiled when you look back?
Yes. I'm looking at the time, 600 seconds. Noted. There was an opportunity there for you, Tricky, but obviously you didn't do it.
I couldn't type that number.
Tricky, what have you been playing? You said you had some thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, mostly I've been playing Assassin's Creed Shadows this week. And then today I just wanted to take a quick break and jump into the Division and realize that there was a global event going on that I had no idea, and completely was far behind on doing that. So I spent today playing Division 2. But Assassin's Creed Shadows, Jeremy said he talked about it a little bit last week, and I didn't listen to the show. But so, can you guys give me like a quick recap of what Jeremy said? Did he like it? Not like it?
He wasn't super far in.
Yeah, he didn't have a ton of time into it. You spend first portion of it playing Yasuke, and then it changes over to Naue, but he didn't get very far in that. So we were kind of looking forward, and Will actually had a question this week on AC Shadows, whether it's success, whether it's not, but we can get into the actual question section. But we're looking forward to your input, since you've spent a lot more time in it than Jeremy did.
Yeah, well, Jeremy's right in the fact that you play as Yasuke to start, and then you play as I always butcher him. Naon.
I thought it's Naue.
Naue, that's it. And then after the first chapter's over, you can actively go back and forth between the characters, depending on what you want to do. I have to say, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Assassin's Creed fan, this game does not deserve the hate that it's been getting over the last year and a half. It is a quality game. It is good. There's, as far as I've seen, there's no wokeness about it. I've seen people, spreading lies about it. Both characters are gay and all this other stuff. I've seen none of that. not that there's anything wrong with it. Let me be clear, but I've seen nothing like that.
From what I saw, there's romance options, and it gives you some leeway in which way you want to go. That's all I've heard about that. But going back to the idea of the game not getting hate or not deserving the hate it's gotten, I've seen comments out there being like, "This is an Assassin's Creed game." Like that's what it is.
It's a quality game. They did make 2 changes that I've noticed so far in the game that I'm not going to sit here and say like it's a problem, but one was good, one was bad, in my opinion so far. So, the bad thing, which I noticed in recent games, and Alex, I think this was in Origins, but when you hopped on your horse and you and you set a marker, there was an option that once you got on the horse, you could hold down the triangle button and it would auto navigate to that location. Was that in Origins, Alex?
Sounds familiar, but I don't remember, honestly.
I like that function because it was like one of those times like, I don't want to fast travel, and part of Assassin's Creed is to open up the world, and if you're constantly fast traveling, blah, blah, blah. But I always liked it because, one, you went through the world and you opened it up, but also, selfishly, it gave me the time to smoke a cigarette while my horse was running through the countryside.
Well, honestly, like just riding your horse over long distances, it's not difficult. It's just tedious.
Right.
So, I mean, if you can just do kind of cruise control and get to your destination, like it's a much better option.
They've removed that now, so there's no auto navigate. And then the thing that they changed that I like is when you go to a viewpoint to sync the world. Before you had to get up there, and then it would you had to hit the button to sync it. Now it just auto syncs, which I thought was pretty cool. But as far as gameplay, I'm liking the gameplay. There is a significant difference between the 2 characters, because Naue is a shinobi, where Yasuke is a samurai. Yeah, samurai. Yeah. I get mixed up in the terms sometimes, because they also talk about shinobis. They talk about why am I not thinking of the name?
Ronins.
Well, there's Ronins too, but
Shoguns.
Well, there are shoguns too. What is the name of
senseis?
No, it's
emperors.
It's a samurai, a high-ranking samurai. Now I'm gonna have to Google it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're trying to get at.
Daimos. That's what I was thinking. Daimos.
Okay.
We would have been here all night if we had to guess that.
But it like I said, there's a big difference. They also have now you build your own base. Yeah.
Why, Ubi?
Why is this Fortnite?
And then you have to upgrade your base, obviously, but that was a feature in the last 3 games anyway.
The worst thing that I hated about Fallout
was building your base.
Was starting the base building. You know what it didn't need was base building. You know what Assassin's Creed doesn't need? Base building.
Well, because the Assassin's Creed games, whether people realize or not, a lot of them have like a headquarters for you, like a home base you can go to and kind of like check out and like look around, and just kind of somewhere you can breathe. Recently, I played, most recently played Rogue, and there was a building in there for that, even though I never spent any time there because I didn't know it was actually my base. But like, that's fine. Like, having a building you can go to that's already built, or even if you can renovate it or upgrade it, that's fine. But actually building a base, Triga, I do have to ask you this. So they went back, they scaled everything back compared to Valhalla from Mirage. Is Shadows kind of a return to the bigger games, or is it more in line with Mirage? Because it seems like they added a bunch of stuff to this.
I want to say it's a healthy mix of both of them.
From what I heard is that if you liked Origins,
you're gonna like this
gameplay style. You'll like this,
right? But it's also got the gameplay style of Mirage. Because I kind of feel like it depends on which character you're playing as, depends on which game is more similar. Does that make sense?
No, because at least not to me, because I didn't play Mirage or Origins or any other.
If you're playing as Naue, it feels like Assassin's Creed Brotherhoods, Assassin's Creed 3.
Traditional Assassin's Creed.
Right. Where if you're playing as Yasuke, it feels more like Origins or Valhalla or, what's the one I'm forgetting now? I always forget. Anyway, the third one. So it depends on which character you're playing as. That's why I say it's kind of like a mix between the two. But yeah, I haven't seen any problems with the game so far. I don't feel like it deserves the hate that's been getting over the last year and a half. Yeah, it's a good game. And if you're an Assassin's Creed fan, I highly recommend you pick it up. We were talking, I think Alex was saying, we were talking with Jeremy pre-show, and yeah, just you got to keep playing it, because once it opens up, it goes by seasons as well. So every season, if you go to a certain castle, you can set your scouts to go pick up this bundle, and then you get the bundle after the season ends. But one thing did happen in the game that I don't know how I triggered it, but I was playing as Yasuke, and I was in a battle, and all of a sudden I became wanted. And I couldn't remove the wanted status until the next season change, which didn't make sense to me. I don't know what I did to become wanted, because I was, fighting like I normally fight. All of a sudden I became wanted. So that was weird. And then there's something else I want to talk to, but it's a little bit of a spoiler. Do any of you guys care that I spoil something in the story?
Me,
no.
Okay.
So anybody listening who does care,
fast forward about 5 minutes.
About 5. Wow, 5
Good
minutes.
God,
Okay.
5 minutes.
Well, no, I'm just being safe. I don't know how long this is going to drag on. So, Yasuke is brought on by Lord Norabunga. I don't think
Nobunaga.
there you go. And, they're doing their thing. And then right before at the end of the first chapter, there is a revolt against the Lord. And he goes, I can no longer effectively lead. And then proceeds to perform Harikari on himself. It came out of nowhere. Is this a Japanese thing where it's like, I'm the leader, but now that people are challenging me, I can no longer effectively leave, so I have to kill myself because it's death before dishonor? Did I miss something? Because that came out of nowhere.
So, generally, from what I've seen, is that if you can't lead, if you've lost the trust of your people, that is technically a dishonor, and therefore technically you need to atone for that. If you're saying that it came out of nowhere, I don't know the bigger thing behind the story or the game, I should say, but when you look, if you go back and watch Shogun on FX, there's a lot of that going on and what should be done. But the question I have is, did he have a second to slice off his head at the same time, or was it just a self?
No, he took the small sword and cut his stomach.
Yeah.
And then before he did that, he told Yasuke, "Don't let them get my head." So as soon as he did that, Yasuke chopped off his head.
Yeah. You generally would have a second to do that, to assist as an honorable way to finish off, so that way somebody isn't just writhing in pain. Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. I don't know the story behind that particular game beat to say.
Well, yeah,
why he would do that.
I'm trying to go into this without spoiling too much of it, but it was just like you up until that point in the game, you thought he was a real scumbag, and then it turned out that he was actually very honorable. And it was like, well, now this has happened. I can no longer effectively lead. And he kills himself and tells Yasuke, "Don't let them get my head." So it's like, where the hell did that just come from? I don't know.
Gotta move the story along.
Yeah, but it was like I don't understand how that moves the story along. Anyway, that's the thing. All right, so who's editing this week? Alex? Mark this point to tell people they can come back.
Okay. Yes, if you all have skipped for the spoilers, you are now safe. You can come back at the 44:29 mark.
Well, that's going to be different once you plug in before the spoiler warning.
Well, I don't know, Tricky. I'm not going to record like an entire new thing to do that. People can count 5 minutes on their own.
I'll record it. Anyway.
Yeah, but then I got to add it in, and that's more. No. People can count on their
Oh
own.
my God. You got to cut and move two things.
We have intelligent listeners.
Oh my
if you
God.
Say 5 minutes, they know how to skip
The
5 minutes.
laziness you perform in your edits, man. I can't split an audio and plug something in. That's going to take me more than 20 seconds. I can't do that.
No, everyone knows how late, or you know how late I'm up editing audio. I often get complaints about from you, that I take way too long to edit. So we know that's false.
Because somehow me and Matt get done on Monday night, not 2:00 in Wednesday morning.
Okay, well that you and Matt, I don't know how you all edit, but I'm telling you the way I edit it's takes some time.
All right,
Maybe I'm
children.
just slower.
All right, children.
Did you miss this from last week, Matt?
Yes. For the listeners, Alex is having a make-believe slap fight with Tricky.
I thought he was trying to scratch me like the,
No, I was slap fighting.
No, I was gonna call you a pussy. Like I was gonna say like the pussy you are, but I stopped.
Oh, all right. Tricky, is that all you've been playing?
Other than my spam game, which involves some brownies. I know they didn't have pot in them.
Why?
Yay.
Are we just supposed to assume that you got drugs in all your baked goods, Tricky?
Well, no, I would never do a drug. In case the Department of Sanitation is listening.
Yeah. For those specific purposes, Tricky would never do anything illegal at all.
Fun fact, and this is God's honest truth. I've never done a drug in my life.
I guarantee you had a beer.
That's not a drug.
Yes,
Beer is a drug.
Alcohol is a drug, 100%.
That's not a drug.
Yes,
it is a
alcohol?
depressant. It is classified.
Yes, absolutely a drug.
It is classified by the DEA.
I mean, you may not think that it's as bad as like other drugs, and I guess there are worse drugs out there, but
okay, let me rephrase. I mean, I've never done an illegal drug in my life. I know we're not going back to probation days, so don't even try to start that shit. Yielding, you're still awake over there. You've been quiet.
I'm here.
We weren't alive during prohibition days, so that wouldn't apply to us.
I just didn't want you to come back and go, well, alcohol used to be illegal.
It's not anymore.
All right, Jesus Christ, we're just going to continue on.
I'm going to go smoke a cigarette. I'll be back.
So I've actually played a bunch of things this week. That includes, yes, Monster Hunter Wilds. That's where you've seen some of my latest achievements come in. I keep putting in the time to get the items I need. So there are probably... So out of the 14 weapons, I specialize in the hunting horn and the gun lance. And the hunting horn, let's say there are 31 horns, I think is what we're looking. No, 21 horns. 21 horns that I can make in the game. I have made 12 of them, so I have about 9 more to go. So that's really where I'm focused at right now. It's a lot of end game, making end game weapons, and then there's events that come up. And Capcom has made the announcement that they are doing their first title update in April, on April 4th to be specific. So this episode will be out shortly before then. And what you're going to be seeing is a new monster, a returning monster in the high rank, as well as a new hub area. So I'm excited to get back into the game. They're going to have like all sorts of mini games, including like a barrel bowling mini game and a fishing mini game. It's just typical Monster Hunter stuff. I also put in time, now that Tricky stepped away, with Kill It With Fire 2, traditional spider killing fun. So I enjoy that.
You're just throwing this in my face now because I don't have access to Kill It With Fire 2.
I can't help that you don't have a PC that can play Kill It With Fire 2.
Don't have to mention it in front of my face, dig it deeper every week. Want to kill some spiders, do my part.
It's a very trippy game this time. Like there's like cyber updates, there's like cyber world. It's weird. Typical stuff. I also played a game called Children of the Sun, where you play a person hunting down a cult, and the trick is you start on the edge of a map and you have to identify where everybody is. Let's say like it's like a campground or something, and you have to kill all of the people by sniping them. But the trick is you only have one bullet, and you have to path that bullet. So each time your bullet strikes somebody, you can redirect it in another direction. So if they're shaped like a square, you hit somebody and then you just make that bullet go around the square. You could also redirect it off of things like cars by making their gas tanks explode. You can put the bullet through fire and it sets the bullet on fire. It's one of those Devolver Digital games with a very niche background. And I like it. It's fun. It's a nice little puzzler for all intents and purposes. So definitely check that out if you're playing on PC. Also put some time into Lost Castle 2. It's a roguelite, very cartoonish animation. Create your own character. You get to choose a weapon. You go out, hunt, gather materials, come back. Best way I can explain that. Put more time into Heroes of Hammerwatch 2. Again, another roguelike adventure, which has you picking a class, going out in the world, taking the run as far as you can, dying, going back, starting all over, and then all the items you collect, you get to build up your town. You go through and make upgrades, which will let you upgrade further, whether it's your talents, whether it's your equipment. And yes, I also did put some time into Helldivers 2. There's a lot of twos this week. Specifically today, Channel 3 had a challenge because evidently today was an anniversary release of Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red. So they said, find fire in a game. So what I did was I went to one of the defense missions where you have to let the rockets launch. I brought my fire primary, my fire secondary, my fire special weapon. I brought fire napalm, orbital barrage, napalm eagle strikes, flame turrets, and hellbomb pods. And I just set everything in front of me on blaze and recorded it because that's what you do when you're asked to find fire in a game. And then finally, the other game I've been playing is a game called Sworn. Either you guys play Hades?
Oh, Swarm. I thought you were talking about the game with the little blue dudes.
No. Sworn, like your sworn enemy.
Yeah, no, I have not played Hades.
Okay. Yield, any time in Hades?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, so for all of you who have played Hades, Hades takes place in a Greek god setting. This game is basically Hades, but with a setting of Camelot. And more so that King Arthur has become evil, and you must take him and his Knights of the Round Table down. So you play some sort of soldier, you get multiple classes, different weapons per class. And the fun part about this is it is multiplayer, up to 4 players, I believe. So you get to go out, run as far as you can, die, come back, upgrade, rinse, repeat. The art style, pretty much dead on like Hades, but this game is actually made by Windwalk Games, published by Team 17. So, they've got quality games behind them. So definitely something to be on the lookout for, because it is a fun time, especially with friends. Let's see. Lost the agenda. There it is. All right. So on to our topic of the week. Hey, you guys remember Game Informer?
Yes.
Guess who's back? Game Informer. So recently, an announcement came out and was done by a video, but now live on GameInformer.com. Matt Miller, the editor-in-chief, put on a notice that the whole team has returned. And this was made possible by Gunzilla Games, who secured the rights to Game Informer, and they are now back. And they even just went off their released a belated 2024 Best of Games list. So, I, for one, it was one of the reasons I kept my GameStop subscription, was so that way I could get Game Informer magazine, because I actually enjoyed getting that magazine in the mail and reading it. I hated when it was like app only and you had to download it. No, I want that physical magazine that I could read on the shitter.
Preach!
That's where we all read Game Informer. So they're back. They're coming up. You can create a new Game Informer account and look into getting their timely periodical. Any of you getting back into reading Game Informer?
Nope.
I'm thinking about it.
It's also worth noting they're not attached to GameStop at all anymore either.
Yeah. You may have been away, but this was, like I said, this was made possible by Gunzilla Games, who a bit of a controversy out there is that a game that they made. Evidently, it's rated well. I don't remember what the title is, but it may be a little bit of a crypto blockchain type game. So we know how people feel about that.
So we talk about conflict of interest now.
I don't think so, because there's really no nexus. Just crypto blockchain games have been seen as kind of like a scummy version of gaming that people don't like.
Sounds like an NFT to me.
Exactly. No, that's all what it is about. So anyway, I'm interested. I don't know, Alex, you didn't get a chance to get your feedback.
When I was younger, particularly in the 90s, like I used to love getting magazines, but these days, I can't remember the last time that I sat down to read a magazine, unless it was like in a doctor's office or something. Even then, I just look at my phone. So if I'm ever on the toilet or whatever, or using the bathroom, I'm looking at my phone. So yeah, I don't have a need for this, but having something, a resource for people who, enjoy magazines, who want something, can't carry their computer. Again, you have a phone, but people still like magazines, people still like books. There's still bookstores and local bookstores and everything. So, just because everything is, or so much has gone all digital, doesn't mean there's not a place or a market for, a magazine to, for customers. I will be interested to see how long this lasts. Hopefully it just keeps going, because, like I said, people will probably want this, but I'm just kind of curious as to, how much demand there will be for it. But yeah, me personally, I'm not going to. But that doesn't mean that other people won't want it though.
Okay. You know what people wanted? A happy ending to Astro Bot. There was an article that came out where some of the game developers talked about having to go through a couple different iterations of the Astro Bot ending. And they originally had like this mournful version where Astro himself sacrificed for the team, that there was evidently a robot decapitation that made some people really upset. I for one,
that would have been cool.
Felt like that's a drastic tone change from the rest of the game. I don't know. Yield, you said it was cool. Tricky, would you have liked to seen a robot decapitation in Astro Bot?
Absolutely.
I'm sure it would have been done in a funny way. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
A la Lego-y. So yeah, that would have been cool.
Make
I don't know.
make a Highlander bot.
Well, it's one of those things where I look at it and go, I haven't finished the game yet, but I'm assuming that the whimsical, humorous ending that they did was a little more fitting of the overall tone.
Yeah, that would come completely out of left field. I mean, Tricky talked about something that came out of left field in Assassin's Creed, and it's Japanese culture. There are people getting killed, so think about how kind of out of nowhere that came for Tricky, and then think about Astro Bot getting decapitated. I mean, like this is your
with his head.
This is your this isn't Braveheart. This is your mascot going forward, and obviously like and
He admits
really,
it.
But you look at just that's a game that appeals to everybody, kids, adults, all that. So you're not going to have something like that with your protagonist in a game that also will be played by kids. You want this kind of game that you want to reach a lot of people with. And I just think having that ending, you've got a game of the year. I don't know. I think it would have been the wrong tone, and I think people would have been really upset by it. I mean, it's nice little Easter egg to hear like how the thought process, and it could have turned out this way, alternate ending. But again, in the end, the lighthearted tone of Astro Bot, you kind of want something that matches in the end. You don't want to leave a game feeling terrible because the character you came to really like is gone, is dead.
Yeah, and to what Tricky has said before is that you look at what Astro Bot did with this game, but what could they do
with others,
with future games? And I think the future is bright. And yeah, when this game came out and you talk about people going, well, this should be Sony's mascot, then having him off himself at the end of the game probably would have been a bad turn of events with trying to get a new series to continue. I mean, there's been Astro Bot. What the heck was the VR game?
Was a Playroom.
Playroom was
Astro's
the
Rescue.
demo. Astro's Rescue, yeah. So this is technically the third game in a series. I mean,
Fourth,
more like 2.5 games.
Fourth game.
What was the other one?
Hold on. I'm looking it up right now. Hold on.
Look, I mean, I get it. Like Mario fell in fire. There was like game over screens, and you had a certain number of lives, but that wasn't like a cinematic. That wasn't like a finality to it. That was just you have this many lives, and that's what's represented when you lose. But Mario still comes back. But if it isn't a cutscene, if it's the formal ending of a game, that's them setting the course of like the future. It's like if there's another game, like if Nathan Drake had been killed at the end of like Uncharted 2, or Elena had been, like they're not going to come back in the next game and be hunky dory. So I mean, when you have like an ending that's created, like the story that you create and share with people, like you're kind of setting the tone for future games if you want to do future games.
It's actually the fifth game, but I don't know if I'd count the fifth one. You had the Playroom, which was originally on the 4. Then you had the Playroom VR, which that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't count that as the fifth game. Then you had Rescue Mission, you had Playroom, which was the tech demo, and now Astro Bot.
Okay. All right. Well, keep going, Team Asobi. Keep up the good work. It was good decisions you made.
I'm really interested in seeing what they could do with future games. And
I think they're going to get that chance.
And I've said this before, but I think this could be the new. I hate to phrase it this way because I don't want to see it go this way, but this could be the new Lego style of games, where it's saying like, we're gonna take this popular series, but we're gonna give it the Astro Bot feel. Kind of like an Uncharted or a God of War or Horizon. This could be the new Lego version of those games, like popular franchises.
Yeah, well, let's hope they don't release them as frequently as the others, because that also
would kill it.
Kill it, yeah. Speaking of not killing, Ubisoft spin-offs Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six into new subsidiary with, drumroll please, Tencent, who has now gained a 25% stake in Ubisoft.
No.
So,
no.
Good.
It's 25% stake in those 3 franchises, not
in those 3
Ubisoft.
franchises. Okay, my bad. So with that said, evidently there is still some concern about employees in those areas, thinking, well, now that there's a stake, is Tencent going to come in here and axe some positions? I don't know how that's going to work under the newest purchasing agreement, I guess, deal, whatever it is. But we know Ubisoft's been hurting for a while. This is injecting, the article says, 1.16 billion in cash from Tencent, and this is now, they're a part of some of the biggest franchises out, which we know Tencent's background. We know what their Ubisoft is going to have to cater to. Is that a concern for anybody on potential censorship and content of these games moving forward?
Yield, why don't you go first?
I'm gonna say I feel it's kind of the death. It could be the death of these games. I mean, Tencent bought a bunch of companies, and they just recently got out. Some of them got out from underneath them recently. So to me, what I read of the article that I think you originally posted it, didn't you, Tricky?
I think I did, yes.
And what I gathered from it was this was a money grab, because when you specifically mentioned how much money you got from this, it was you did it for the money, and those are Ubisoft's biggest games right now, and you sold off a share of them. Especially to Tencent. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but
what I find weird is, and I was talking with a YouTuber I watch very frequently, Roll Gold, who exclusively covers the Division content, because he put out a video about this. I find it weird that Ubisoft, and I'm not entirely sure on this. Maybe somebody can verify that I'm right or I'm wrong, or maybe I misinterpreted. But I believe Ubisoft came out not too long ago and admitted that the Division and Assassin's Creed were their biggest financial franchises. They were making the most money off of those 2 franchises. So, what Rogue Gold said in his video was that Ubisoft feels like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six are their most profitable. And I don't feel that way. What I think this was Tencent sees the most money in those franchises, and that's why they went after those. Because, obviously Ubisoft has, like, Just Dance. Just Dance isn't selling as much as it used to, but it's still a very, very profitable franchise for them. So Tencent going after 25% stake in those 3 franchises, and the fact that Assassin's Creed is obviously Ubisoft's baby. Like, that's the franchise they support the most. For them to give up 25% stake in Assassin's Creed, I do feel like it's kind of a money grab, but it's also like Tencent saw the most profit they can make off of these 3 franchises because they weren't going to get all the franchises. Also, what Matt didn't say, and what a lot of people missed, is in Ubisoft's actual statement about this, they came out and said, these are the 3 franchises Tencent has a stake in, but we're still going to work on The Division and Ghost Recon, which is telling me that Ubisoft still feels like those 2 franchises are worth Ubisoft putting money into, because they didn't come out and say, we're still going to be making Just Dance, we're still going to be making the Splinter Cell, we're still going to be making The Crew. They came out and said, we're still going to be working on The Division, and we're still going to be working on Ghost Recon. None of them are going to suffer. So I don't know that I would fear Tencent being a part of these 3 franchises, but I do worry that Tencent will have some influence, but being that they only have a 25% stake, I still think Ubisoft is in control of these franchises, and we don't have to worry too much about it.
So one of the other things the second article I linked talks about is that some of the employees feel that if they are now not part of those three, that maybe their attention or maybe their focus won't be as important as those three. Which, I mean, to be fair, Ubisoft's big cash cows are those three. So I think the concern here has some validity, but I don't know. Tencent's involved now, so you know that complicates things.
Alex, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think you give a company like Tencent a stake in, and please clarify me, is it in the whole company or is it just in the three franchises?
Those three franchises.
I mean, I don't think you turn to a company like Tencent and give them that big of a stake, especially in like big franchises, unless you need it. I mean, clearly this was a move they thought was necessary. Tencent kind of muddies the waters because you got more cooks in the kitchen. Unless if something goes wrong, obviously Tencent, will probably speak up and be like, hey, they may not have a majority stake in everything, but certainly now you have more, more people to kind of eat at sales of Assassin's Creed and other franchises. So, but all this tells me is that Ubisoft needs help.
Well,
you don't give that big of a stake unless you're having some kind of issues.
I mean, it's also
gone.
I'm sorry.
Ubisoft's gone on their own for a long time now, and all of a sudden, a fourth of the stake of these franchises goes to Tencent. Knowing how much Tencent's been gobbling up, I mean, what does that tell you about Ubisoft's financial situation?
Well, I think it's also worth noting Tencent did have a stake in Ubisoft in general. Like, the Tencent was already invested into Ubisoft as a minority shareholder. But it's just these three franchises, that share has been moved up to 25% on those three franchises. So
does that mean, I don't know, does that mean that Ubisoft sees these franchises as maybe more profitable so they can share some of the, because if these were like Uber selling franchises or made them a lot of money, would you want to keep all that to yourself? Why would you want Tencent to get a piece of that?
Because, think of it like a business. If you're trying to get a $1.16 billion, I think that's pound. I always get confused with the pound and the other symbol. But if you're trying to get that much of a investment into a company, you're gonna have to give up something. You can't just say.
Is that not, as they've never needed to do this before? Does that tell you that your investment in these games has gotten out of control? Like you're now below water, and you need Tencent to lift your head above water again. I
mean, Ubisoft canceled some big projects. They canceled the Division Heartland when it was almost done. They canceled Immortals Phoenix Rising 2. I'm trying to think of the other ones. I'm Googling right now.
Well, and what Ubisoft tends to, it seems like they're doing is they're kind of falling back on their biggest franchises. Ghost Recon, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed.
I mean, they also did just shut down X Defiant. Even though the servers will stay on until June, they just stopped all production with that.
Knowing what you know about how they've struggled recently, and just kind of like the malaise when it comes to Ubisoft in general, this doesn't look like a good move when you have Tencent coming in and them having to rely on funding from Tencent. Because think about how long Ubisoft has stood without having that much of funding into their projects.
Well,
to me, it feels like with Assassin's Creed, it's like we go from Valhalla to Mirage, and now Mirage goes to Shadows, which is not like Mirage, but it's also not completely like Origins.
Well, they did say they were going to be bouncing back between the two styles.
But is that what your base wants? Like, is that what your customer base wants? Like, don't you want, if you're an Assassin's Creed fan and you enjoy the series, don't you want it to be one way and not the other all the time?
Well, there are some people that like you. You like the. All right. Well, here, perfect example. You played Origins and you played Rogue. Which style do you prefer more?
I don't even know what I can say because I had issues with both those games. I mean, there was things I liked about the games, but for me, Assassin's Creed Origins, the best part about that game was the lore and the setting. It wasn't the actual gameplay. And for Rogue, I mean, I didn't care a lot for the setting or for the time period they chose, but the gameplay also was just so inflated that I wouldn't say that the gameplay was the marquee part of that game either.
Well,
I don't know. Like, I've always just wanted a smaller Assassin's Creed, so maybe Mirage would be the style for me. But it just feels like with that franchise, you're throwing darts on the wall and just trying to hit something, and they just change the strategy all the time. And as a consumer, like I figure that would throw you off. Like if they're changing their strategy and the type of game they make each time, like you can't really get used to any one thing. Like yeah, it's good. You don't want every game to be the same, and you want to change things up and add things new and improve. But switching back and forth between two styles, like it makes it feel like you're doing Valhalla and then going to Mirage. Like it just feels like they continue to make mistakes and they just can't settle on one style because they don't know what works.
Something I forgot to mention with Shadows earlier. Let's finish this conversation. I'll go back to that. Yeah, I don't see this as a horrible move, but I do feel like we need to approach this with caution. But I don't see this being a problem. But that's just me.
Alrighty. Well, you might as well go back to the thing you had to say because I have nothing else to say on this.
All right. So, remember not too long ago, I brought up the fact that Ubisoft announced the Animus Hub that was going to link all the Assassin's Creed games together, and we didn't know what the hell it was. Well, we found out. The Animus Hub is actually in Shadows. So, when you launch Shadows, there is a screen that comes up that has all the different Assassin's Creed games in it. And from that screen, you can launch into the other games. So in this case, Alex, you start up Shadows, but you don't have Origins downloaded on your console. You can launch into Origins through Shadows without having to re-download Origins and play the game like that.
I mean, I guess that's kind of cool, but I've also already beaten Origins completely, so I don't ever need to beat or play or. I mean, that game was so long ago that anyone who wants to play it has either given up playing it or likely beaten it. You know.
Well, no, I mean, in your case, you've already gotten the platinum and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is, if you wanted to play it, you don't have to download the game now. You can launch it right through Shadows.
You honestly, who that works best for? Like people who are on YouTube and make like lists and update their list of like best Assassin's Creed game ever, ranking of Assassin's Creed game, blah, 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 when a new game comes out in the series. Like that for them would work great. But for a lot of people, it's just kind of like, I've already played it, I've already moved on. Like, it's a cool feature, but I don't need it.
And because of the hub, if you do have these games installed with the save files on your system, random things happen in your games that come across as glitches from the Animus. I don't know if it's me, but all right, never mind. Yeah, so you'll have like fragments that pop up that will, tell the story of Bayek or what's the guy's name from Origins, Alex?
Bayek? Yeah.
All right, then okay. That's not the one I was thinking about. I was thinking about the guy from Mirage. I forget his name.
Bossum?
That's it, Bossum. But you'll get like an Animus glitch, and you go in and it shows like a small cutscene, and something happens. It's pretty cool. And you'll also be happy to know, Alex, there's no outside world right now.
Good. Good.
I'm sorry.
Because-
I just wanted to address the hub because I found out what it was and forgot to relay it. Sorry.
Okay. Well, in an effort to keep things moving, we're going to move on to the next story. And this is just a follow up from last week when we were talking about how Silent Hill F got refused classification in Australia. Well, Australia has changed their mind and now has rated Silent Hill F MA 15 plus for strong horror and violence. No idea why it was originally rejected classification, as Australia is wont to do every now and then with games, but just be happy that Australia gamers, you will have access to Silent Hill F when it releases, whenever that is. I don't think we have a release date on that yet. And finally, before we move on to the rest of the show, we also previously reported how the rumor was that Bam Margera was not going to be in the Tony Hawk 3 and 4 remake. And now the story is coming out that Tony Hawk himself intervened and stated that Bam Margera should be in the game, and evidently he was like, no, you're going to do it, and made them fly Bam back out to get body scanned and everything to get him back in the game.
Good.
So I guess if your name's on the box, you still carry some weight with you as to how your game's going to get out there. So, you know, again, I remember back in the day, that was the big thing. Having Bam Margera in the game was pretty intense. For, you know, he brought in a new slew of people to skating. I remember CKY being on the soundtrack, and obviously Bam was one of the ones that brought them to the fold as far as popularity goes, beyond obviously what they did themselves. But Bam played a bit of a role in that. So definitely seeing him back in the game in his glory, I think was a good thing to do. And just a reminder that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake will be released on July 11th of this year. I think we already talked to you guys. You guys really don't do Tony Hawk, so nothing more to say on that.
I lost interest in those back in the first game.
Yeah, and as I said before, like games that make me keep up a combo, I'm just not as keen on those. It feels restrictive to the gameplay, and like I said, I know going for high scores, like a lot of people really like that, but for me, that type of high score where you just got to keep something going and going and going, like it's just not as fun for me.
I thought you played Roller Drum.
I did, but I did say that the combo, like there are aspects of that game that I do really like. It is fun, but again, like having the combo system does, you know, it's
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just not as like I can look past it with certain games because of how novel that game is, but in general, like with the first of all, I don't really like skateboarding, so that's a big killer there for me as far as my interest goes. But yeah, combos are just like I like to play more freely, like and just like I said, it just feels somewhat restrictive because you have to play within certain confines, and just like me.
Okay. That is it for our news articles this week, and we have, I think, one or two valid listener questions this week.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
We're going to skip the Gaz comment. We've already kind of covered it at the top of the show. Will has two valid questions. And the first one being, do you think Australia will get a censored or uncensored version of Silent Hill F? Well, we see that it's already rated. I don't see them doing an uncensored version. And additionally, do you think they'll ever solve the problem with their koala bear chlamydia?
No.
I guess not.
If
they could, they could teach the rest of the world about their chlamydia problems.
I didn't know that was a problem until just recently.
Yeah, I don't care to know that it's a problem. That's one of those things that after this conversation is done, I will immediately forget.
All right, and well, I just want to say a big twerp you to Gareth for calling me a wet wipe.
Wet wipe, yeah. But Will's real question came down to, you know, whether or not Assassin's Creed Shadows is a success. And I do know that, according to the articles that have been out there, Assassin's Creed has crossed 3 million players, but no sales figures.
Right.
So we don't know. And the problem is, I'm comparing this to Monster Hunter Wilds that had 8 million in sales within its first weekend. So, can this be considered a success? I don't know does anybody else have any Assassin's Creed sales figures to compare it to?
I can look up.
I mean, it's going to be hard to compare because any sales you have are going to be compared to a game that's been out for years and years. I mean, if there was something like this game sold this many compared to, these other games, that might help. But, it sold this many in a comparable time period. In the first 2 weeks, this game sold this much. But, I mean, again, success comes down to how much did it cost you to make this game and market it and everything. But also, I would say so far the number it's sold or that people it has playing is an impressive number, but did everybody who wants to buy it already buy it and then everything just dies out? It's kind of hard to tell success when you don't have key things like what was the cost to make this game. And I'm sure we'll find out, at some point, this game was a success or this game didn't meet expectations. Who knows? But it seemed like if, for the first, bit it's been out, controversy surrounding the game really didn't hurt it, as long as it continues to sell steadily.
Just for context, Valhalla is anywhere between 12 to 15 million copies sold.
Across its lifetime?
Yes.
Okay.
Black Flag sold 15 million copies.
To be fair, though, that's on across multiple generations, whereas Valhalla's only been on one console generation, right? Or is it?
It just says 15 million copies sold. It doesn't say the breakdown. And not that it applies, but the Division 1 sold 20 million copies. Far Cry 5 sold 20 million copies, and Siege is over 20 million copies. But
this goes back to the question of what truly is a success. Yield, what has been your stance in the past about how to measure success?
Sales. Well, not just sales, but word of mouth. If people like it, you're gonna hear about it.
Well, let me temper the question to you a little bit here.
Okay.
Take game X.
Okay.
Whatever game you want, apply to this. If you were selling game X, would you be more happy if 50 million people are playing your game, or you made 50 million selling the game?
Am I a single player game?
Yeah, whatever game. I'm just saying, whatever game.
Because it matters. If you got 50 million playing the game, and you're continually supporting the game, then that's good. But if you're a single player game, 50 million in sales is good because whether or not they keep playing it or not, you've made your money.
All right, so let's say a single player game.
Then I want the 50 million in sales.
Alex, I'll pose the same question to you.
Repeat the question.
If you were a developer and you made game X, and it's the case we established it's a single player game, would you be more happy if your game was being played by 50 million people, or would you be more happy if you made 50 million in sales?
Well, if I did 50 million in sales, you mean dollars amount?
Yes.
So yeah, but I don't know. I would say 50 million people playing the game because, 50 million in sales, you think about how some of these games cost multiple hundreds of millions of dollars to make. I assume Assassin's Creed Shadows took a lot of money to make.
Okay, hold on. Let me clarify. 50 million profit. Over your game development and all that stuff, you've made $50 million in profits. Just to clarify that.
I'm assuming that you're suggesting when 50 million people are playing it, that I don't know. I get 50 million. We're assuming that not some people maybe played it on Xbox Game Pass, didn't have to pay for it.
Right.
Okay. Hold on here. Let me let me do some quick math because
All right, so why he's done the math? Matt, I'll pose the same question to you.
I don't know. I've always said it's a much more complicated thing than just sales numbers. It's how much you put in, how much is your profit, what's your margin, what are you giving up by going digital? There's so much there to validate, and it's hard to say. I think Ubisoft is out here celebrating 3 million sales, and to them, if that's good, then that's good. Until we hear otherwise, I'm saying it's a success. What I would prefer, I mean, the number of sales definitely brings some notoriety with it. So maybe I'd prefer quantity sold versus other factors.
Alex,
so
you done the math?
I think. I mean, I don't. My calculator on my phone doesn't do numbers that big. I think that even if you sell this game to 25 million people, half of the people playing it, and you make $70 off each purchase. I mean, you think about like Horizon, like when it passed 20 million sales, wildly successful. I think I would go with 50 million people playing it because you would have to think at least half of those people bought it, and if they bought it for $70, I think your potential for earnings are better than 50 million.
See, I would go with the 50 million playing because, to me, if 50 million people are playing my game, that's telling me that enough people are interested in my game, and but I know what direction I want to go for the second game, because obviously people have attached themselves to this. While the $50 million would be nice, don't get me wrong, I think having 50 million people playing my game tells me that I've made something and it's a success because there are enough people that want to play my game.
Well, think about how many people we sell. We had the sales numbers for Valhalla and all these other games, or at least two of the games, and 50 million people playing is multiple times that number. So
right.
You're talking about potentially the greatest selling Assassin's Creed game of all time. In fact, I would guarantee that if you had 50 million people playing that game, that would be the most people that ever played an Assassin's Creed game.
Well, no, that's why I said Game X. Yes, we saw the Assassin's Creed numbers, but I was just talking about in general because, I mean, we have these cult hit games like Mirror's Edge. It didn't sell that well, but there was enough of an outcry of people playing Mirror's Edge that they wound up making a sequel. I mean, the sequel wound up sucking from what I heard, but same thing. Like,
yeah, EA won't do that again.
Look at Dave the Diver. How many times did Jeff Hanna come on the show talk about how he likes Dave the Diver? And, that was before it even hit consoles. And, I mean, I would argue to say that because Jeff was talking about it, when it released on consoles, it intrigued you and everybody else to play it more than they possibly would have ever gave it a shot. You probably would have looked at the trailer and went, what the fuck is this? But you heard such great things.
No, I would have looked at the trailer and been like, my God, I need to play this game. This looks fun as hell.
Oh, get the hell.
No, but without Jeff, I don't know if I would have ever heard about the game, except, later when it came to PlayStation Plus and I would have looked at a trailer at least. But no, if I had seen that game in a trailer, I can tell you, whether Jeff had mentioned it or not, I would have been like, I need to play this.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I just think more people playing the game tells me more that my game is more of a success than 50 million in profit. I'll circle back to you. Like, do you think like I'm totally off, or am I making somewhat of sense?
I wasn't listening to what you were saying, to be honest with you.
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls.
All right. Well,
I mean, either way, you would probably make a profit. It's just a question of how much profit you make.
Right.
We've beaten this topic to death. Let us move on because, folks, returning for the first time in a long while, we actually have a Sophie's Trophy section.
All right, let's throw it across the pond.
Hello again, guys. It's Sid with another Sophie's Trophies. It's been a while. Life gets in the way in general, but we're going to do something different this time, guys, because I think I need to change it up. Just talking about a list is a bit boring, really. Boring for me and probably boring for you guys. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at Sonic Origins and just a couple of the trophies in there, because this is an easy trophy list, and if you're a Sonic fan, I think you'll enjoy this game. It's got all 4 games. Well, I say all 4 games. It's got Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and Sonic CD. Sonic CD is not the best, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of that one. But the trophy list is pretty easy. You just have to get through all the games, and then there are trophies for turning into Super Sonic, which you can use a level select cheat for. You get the level select on Sonic 1, 2 or 3, and then you have to put in a code with the sound test, and that will unlock debug mode. I don't have the numbers to hand, but they're easy to look up. And then you can just go through the game and pick which things you need. Because you can go through and pick any item you want, you can spawn them, you can basically do whatever you want in the games. So, all in all, guys, there are 36 trophies. Like I say, I'm not going to go through them, but there are 4 here that I'm going to go through, or just give you a quick tip on. Okay, so in each game you have missions, little challenges. They're in a separate list. They start easy, go to hard, and there are trophies for each of the 4 games to clear 10 missions. And each mission gives you coins, which you use to unlock unlockables like music tracks, comics, artwork, things like that, which also gives you trophies as well. So this kind of does a lot of different things at once doing this. So anyway, my tip for this one is, so Sonic the Hedgehog Mission Master, Sonic CD Mission Master, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Mission Master, Sonic 3 and Knuckles Mission Master. Said that wrong. They are all the same. Clear 10 missions with an S rank. So my tip for this one, guys, very simple. Pick the first mission, or pick a mission you know you can do very easily, and just keep playing it. You don't have to do 10 different missions. So yeah, I would get it. I'd get Sonic Origins. It is a good little game. You buy it, you will get it for the PS4 and the PS5. So yeah, good to talk to you guys. It's been a while. Hopefully I'll get back again soon. Take it easy and keep getting those trophies. Bye.
And thank you, Sid, for the newest update to Sophie's Trophies. And now, our topic of the week.
Toe. Topic of the week. Well, fine then. Fuck you, Matt.
I don't think it would be.
I'm gonna take that.
I'm
gonna take that last part off for future shows.
Why?
No, I think it's good. Just shorten the amount of time between the
jocular
end of it to the fuck you, Matt. All right. So by the time this comes out, we will be. Let's see. Yeah. By the time this is out, we will be having the Nintendo Direct on the Switch 2. And that means there will be news on the Switch 2 and what it will include, and probably a price, and hopefully launch date, and hopefully even better when we can actually pre-order it. I know, obviously, I'm in on it day one. I know Tricky, Yield, and Alex have all kind of said, meh, that's not for us.
It's
so
a Switch 1.5.
It is a Switch 2.
It's a Switch 1.5.
It is a Switch 2. This is not a pro version of the PlayStation. It will have its own games, meaning that they will not be playable on the Switch 1. So, that said, what would it take to get you guys into the Switch ecosystem? Tricky, I know you own a Switch. What would it take you to get the Switch 2? Is it trophies? Is it older PS games that are now being remade and remastered and put on the Switch? What would it take?
Nothing. I own 3 Switches.
Not anything.
I own 3 Switches, and I haven't turned one on in 2 years.
Have you even done any gaming on your brand new PC?
Sure. But I can't tell
That's
you what.
no.
No. But I can't tell you what I've been playing.
Okay. Yield. Is there anything that would get Nintendo to be like, all right, this is what Yield's special sauce is. This is how we get them in. What would it take?
I would probably, for me to get a Switch, would be more exclusive Nintendo games, because the multi-console games I'm going to play on PlayStation. So I would need more more Nintendo exclusive games that would make me want to invest in a Switch.
But what type of exclusive games? Because obviously you have your Marios, you have your Zeldas, you'll have your Metroids here again in the short term. But based off of what you play and what you tell us that you're playing week by week, it doesn't sound like Nintendo would have anything necessarily that draws your attention.
No, you're right about that right now. This is just the Mario and Zelda. And really, Mario hasn't had released a game that I've been like, I want to play that. It's just been kind of the Zeldas. Really, it's been more of the bringing the like a Link to the Past and the games that were more on like Game Boy or something that I didn't have a chance to play.
And they haven't made a Zelda game in like 10 years.
You're funny.
Start.
You're funny. Alex.
You knew that was coming.
Besides an Ocarina of Time remake, because I know that would get you in there immediately. If they said,
I'm glad you finally just decided to stop toying with me over this, and you just recognize how important of a landmark title this would be and how we need it.
well, I never said any of that. I just said a remake.
Oh, you'd buy it day one. Don't you dare give me that crap.
I probably would. Yes,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. How the tables have turned, or the turn to
Because I don't want how the turns have tabled. Because I don't want to be stuck in a situation where I don't own a Zelda game and I would have to pay will PlayStation 8 dead prices for collectors games. But for you, what would it take besides Ocarina of Time remake?
I mean, I generally buy the Nintendo console every generation. Like, I didn't buy a Wii U because I saw no point, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I was absolutely right about that. But I can't think of the last Nintendo console that I did not own. I mean, honestly, the only generation I skipped was a Super Nintendo, and I corrected that error when I was an adult and bought a Super Nintendo off of eBay. So I pretty much have owned every single Nintendo console aside from the Wii U. So, I mean, bought the Wii, bought the Switch. So at some point, I'm just going to buy the Switch too. One, because it's backwards compatible with a lot of the games I already own. But I mean, guaranteed there's going to be some Nintendo games that I want to play. Now, it's nice not to have, a console, like two consoles where they're coming out with games, that I always want to play, whether it be PlayStation games or indie games or, small little titles like that. But I mean, it's not going to take much for Nintendo to get me to buy their console. I will buy it at some point. Nintendo's just got to keep doing what Nintendo does,
Making shitty games.
Matt, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I will actually, because I don't have the article out here, but Nintendo just posted that they have the most top 100 games out there. What? Hold on. Somebody vamp for a second. I want to find this so I can put Tricky in this place.
You know I'm just trolling. We gotta go this far? Apparently.
Yes.
Yield, how's the weather where you are right now?
It's storming.
Is it thunderstorms?
Yes.
Heavy rain?
Well, I haven't been over to this window to look to see if it's pouring down, but it has been thundering.
So, I just had a fun fact and lost it in my head.
Well, here's a fun fact. Nintendo has more first-party games that have sold over 1 million copies on the Switch than any other console. So
I call shenanigans.
Yeah, well, you know what I call shenanigans? When Jimmy Ryan moves the goalpost on the number of PS2 sold.
He did move it. Herman Hulst did. And send me a link to that article. I'm calling shenanigans.
Sent.
Oh, you can't trust this. This is a biased website.
The Gamer?
Yes. They're very
I'm
Nintendo.
sorry.
They're very Nintendo biased.
I'm sorry I couldn't find a Push Square site that supports your biased opinion. The point being is, you can't. I know you're joking, but seriously, there are people out there who believe Nintendo is a shitty system.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Alex,
Yeah.
according to this website, how many PlayStation 2 games, how many PlayStation 2 first-party games do you think sold over 1 million copies?
What does the website say?
That's what I'm asking you.
I don't know, Tricky.
'Cause
I
this-
mean, all the ratchets probably sold over 1 million by themselves. I mean, you probably got the Slies getting close to that. I mean, that doesn't count like Twisted Metal Black and the God of Wars and all that. I mean, I would say at least 30.
Exactly 30.
Ooh, look at me.
And they're saying that 72 Nintendo Switch games have sold over 1 million. There's something wrong here.
Well, you also got to remember that a lot of the games that came out for PlayStation 2 and helped popularize that system were not Sony first-party titles. Whereas Nintendo, pretty much all the most popular games on their system are Nintendo games.
There was 21 on the PS3, 19 on the PlayStation 4, 5 on the PlayStation 5, and 49 on the original PlayStation.
But I can tell you Returnal probably didn't get over 1 million, so that's one we can cross off the list. But, I mean, we can research this and look past, another day.
I just think Matt's trying to bring his Nintendo
Although
bias
I don't suggest we use VG charts because I still don't believe in anything that site says.
Well, the point being is, by the time that this is released, we will be on the day that Nintendo will have announced more information on the Switch 2 and what's to come. And I, for one, am excited for our Nintendo overlords to truly show all the other gaming companies what it means to be a quality gaming company.
What's your prediction on the cost there, Matt?
I'm saying 400. I think there might be a 450 somewhere for some.
You think they're going up $100?
I know that they have to. I truly think that they have to go up, especially in today's world. I'm more concerned about what does that mean from the tariffs perspective.
Now, I'll just ask this: if they do hit that 500 mark, do you think it's a death nail?
It depends on what
that's
the
200,
looks like.
200 above, right?
That would be 200 above, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that.
Which is
hold on a second. I don't think they'll do that either. I'm just saying, if they do come out with the $500 price point, is that a death nail?
So there's two different things to think about here. First off, it's 200 above what the original Switch is. However, I think it's only 150 above what the OLED is. So my question is, does that mean we're getting another Switch with an LCD screen on it? Because that not great, not a great looking Nintendo.
Yield, what about you?
What the price? I have no idea what the price is going to be. I haven't been over paying attention to the Nintendo stuff for years, other than just kind of what games they might be dropping.
And Alex?
I mean, I think it's gonna be 400. I don't think. I mean, the Switch has always been, it's not seen as cutting edge technology. It's not seen as being able to match up to the other consoles or, a PC. So people are fine paying, $300 for a Switch. For an upgraded console, like people and with better features and the ability to play their older games. I definitely think people would be willing to pay 400. You get above that, and I think people are going to wait. I don't think people are going to be. Yeah, you'll have your diehards that'll buy it at the start, but I mean, we know Nintendo's approach. They're going for a much more mass market console that's not as powerful and is more affordable. And if you get up to $500, you're going to kill that right away. I think going to 450 is fucking crazy. I think you go up to 400 and yeah.
But look at the PS5 Pro. In some markets, 150. In our market, 200 above what a. Or you know what? No, actually, let's take that out and go diskless to diskless, because that's technically what, 300 above the diskless version.
It's 250 now, but yeah.
Yeah. And again, for a new console, I see it being 400, but I also see us not getting the benefit of something like an LED screen, or an OLED screen, that I think is kind of crucial for handheld.
Well, also you got to think that there's going to be a mid-cycle refresh, and they'll want to change the price on that, or charge more for that. So, if you have a $500 console out of the gate, what do you go to $500, $600? There's no way you can sell a Nintendo console for that.
No, they would do the same thing that they did with the other one. They'd knock $50 off of the old version and sell the new version for the what was the launch price or the current retail price.
I still think $500 is a crazy amount to ask for a Nintendo console.
I would, yeah, especially given that, what is it bringing to the table beyond what the Switch already did?
And the one other thing I'll ask about the Switch is they did come out with the Switch version, the dockless version.
The Lite, yeah.
Do you think that they have to release that at launch with this one, or do you think we'll get the docked version and then eventually get the dockless version?
You'll get the docked version, and then someday down the line they'll come out with the Lite as well.
Okay.
Alrighty, they learned their lesson from the Wii U 8 gig versus 32 gig launch. They're not going to do that again.
Fun fact, there's a Wii U in this house right now.
Fun fact, I have a Wii U as well. Alrighty, well, thank you all for listening to our shenanigans tonight, but we will start closing up the show. Yield.
Shout out to Sid for his Sophie's Trophies. Shout out to Gareth for the rarity contest. Shout out to Alex, Matt, and Tricky for recording this evening. Shout out to V for everything that she does behind the scenes. Shout out to all the pimps and the madams of the Hordom for downloading, listening, hanging out with us, playing games with us. Shout out to those who were hanging out in chat. I know Nitro and Parky. Jeremy said he was going to have it on. And that'll do it.
Okay, Alex.
Give a shout out to the listeners, the fans, the fuel to the fire's trophy horse. Thank you all for keeping this fire burning, and what Matt doesn't do on his own with all his fire gear. But without you all, we could not keep this flame going. We appreciate you all for all the support, and we thank you all for continuing on this journey with us through 2025 and beyond. Give a shout out to my co-host Yield, Matt, and Tricky, and a shout out to my loving and awesome girlfriend Ashley. I love you, hun. And that is going to be my shout outs. Oh, also, usually I give Ashley the last shout out, but I completely forgot about one shout out I wanted to give. So sorry, hun. I'll give you another one here in a sec. But shout out to the natural disasters, John Tenta and Fred Ottman, who are going into the WWE Hall of Fame for the class of 2025. Unfortunately, John Tenta passed away long ago, so Fred's the only one who remains. But it's good to see some of my fan favorites from childhood finally going into the Hall of Fame. And last but not least, give a shout out to my loving, awesome girlfriend Ashley. That's going to do me for this week.
What do you think about them introducing matches into the Hall of Fame now?
I mean, starting with Stone Cold versus Bret at WrestleMania 13 is a good one to start with.
I think it's so stupid.
I think it's fine. I mean,
matches.
There's a celebrity wing that has Kid Rock in it, and come on.
A celebrity wing is different from putting a match into the Hall of Fame.
At least those matches included wrestlers. Kid Rock was never a wrestler. Like Drew Carey's in the Hall of Fame, for God's sakes. I know he was in a Royal Rumble, but
technically he was in a match.
He eliminated himself when Kane came out. No, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm fine with it. Look, let's be real. I mean, it means a lot to the people who went in, who are going in, but also like, there's a lot of things about the Hall of Fame that are screwy. Like enshrining matches, like pointing to like certain matches. I think that's the least offensive things they've done.
No, well, at least your boy's getting the main event now.
Oh yeah, closing the show, baby.
They major slap in the face to main event Jey Uso.
Look, first of all, I don't want to hear Seth Rollins cry about how sacred the main event is, and look how many main events Hulk Hogan was in. Anyone want to support Hulk Hogan these days?
We're not talking about these days. We're talking about back then.
Well, the people, if you talk to people in the business, they admit he was a piece of crap back then too. So it's not like he all of a sudden became a piece of crap in his 50s.
Hey, welcome to Not the Wrestling Talking Show. I've allotted enough time for this. Tricky, your shout-outs.
What is your threshold on it? Do you give like a full 60 seconds before you say something, or?
I timed it.
Shout out to everybody. Twerp you to the a-holes that sent me messages. Yeah. I don't want to have to lay down the law like that, but I'm gonna have to from now on. Shout out to the Rangers who are officially in a wild card spot as we speak.
Yeah, didn't you all overtake the Columbus Blue Jackets?
We took them and the Canadians, but it is a very, very, very tight race. There's like 10 teams that are all fighting for the last spot right now.
So basically everybody in the Eastern Conference.
It's gonna. I think everybody in the East Conference right now, except for the last team, which I don't even know who the hell they are. It's gonna come down to the last game of the season, and then even if the Rangers make it the first round, they're gonna have to play the Capitals, which is gonna be very tough.
Alex Ovechkin, record watch.
Oh, Jurassic Park just told me they're currently out of the playoffs right now. Montreal won.
Well,
Yeah,
that a bitch.
but we have the tiebreaker. The problem is that, and I'll make this quick. The problem with the Rangers right now is even though if they get into the playoff spot, they have a game ahead of everybody, so everybody has like more games to play than the Rangers do. So
The problem with the Rangers is that they're not the Islanders or the Devils.
Well,
hey Matt.
Right now, the Islanders are one of the people fighting for the playoff spot, the wild card spot, and the Devils, they're not safe right now because Ottawa, who's in the first wild card spot, is only one spot behind the Devils.
Tricky. I was trying to throw it to Matt seamlessly.
I know.
Talking about the Devils, and you stomped all over it.
Tricky probably knows more about it than me. Speaking of knowing more than me, Tricky, what are your shout-outs?
Shout out to everybody.
I thought you just gave him. He just twerps.
I don't know. You see, you sidetracked me, and I have no idea what's actually
Well,
happening.
I have to do 2 shout outs because I missed last week. So,
there you go.
So yeah, I'm with it, Matt. I'm with you. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Sweet Mama D. Yeah. We own tiebreaker. Go Rangers.
Ready. Shout out to you gents tonight for recording. Shout out to Sid for giving us the Sophie Trophy. Shout out to Will for his contributions to the show, even if he's a... Yeah, I'll leave it at that. He knows what he did.
He knows what he did.
He knows what he did. Shout out to the Channel 3 community. Make sure to go to channel3.gg to gamify your social media. Shout out to, shout out to the people who are in chat tonight. Jurassic, Departed, the new person, Polar Knights, as well as, MZ. Yeah, I think I got MZ there. And a shout out to my wife, V. Thank you for all that you do. And with that, folks, happy hunting.
See ya.
MZ's still banned.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.